Praveen, mute again.
We are not able to hear.
Praveen, ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಹಾ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರವೀಣ್?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Praveen BR, Assistant Professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering from Sai Vidya Institute of Technology. Welcome you all to this webinar. I'm here to introduce you all to our resource person, Raghu Prasad KS. Raghu Prasad KS, sir, he is a CEO of Kaushalya Technical Training and Consultancy Services, and he has vast 25 years of work experience in IT and training field. He has completed his Master of Science, MS, in Software Systems from BITS Pilani, and he has completed his Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical Engineering field. He is a consultant to vendors of Atal Tinkering Labs as a part of consultancy, and he plans and implements the IoT lab setup. He is also a consultant for Incarnus India Private Limited, Chennai. He is well expertised in fields such as Java, J2EE, IoT, Python, machine learning, SQL, and Selenium. He is a professional yoga trainer also. He has trained more than 5,000 people in yoga as a free service to the society. He is also a motivational speaker. He has given speeches in All India Radio, Cycle Day events in Bengaluru, and institutions such as Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research. So I am here welcoming Raghu Prasad sir for this webinar. Thank you, sir, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. At the outset, I thank Dr. T.G. Manjunath, HOD of EE Sai Vidya Institute of Technology, and Ramesh Babu, Dr. Ramesh Babu, Principal of HVIT, and Praveen, who is coordinating for this particular event, all the students and the staff of the department, as well as I came to know maybe outside of the college as well. So it's my pleasure to present few of my ideas related to artificial intelligence and machine learning. So let me share my screen. Just one of you can confirm. Once you are able to see my screen, then I will continue. Hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
So before we start, sir, I just request all the participants to kindly pin up in your people tab. You find sir's name as Raghu Prasad. You can find. You can pin that particular people in the people so that you can see the presentation. Because some of you will later on say that I'm unable to see the presentation. So those who are unable to see the presentation, you can go to the people. In the people, you can find Raghu Prasad sir's one more account will be there, wherein you can pin up over there. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks. So in today's session, this is what is a brief agenda. So thanks for the introduction. So other than this, actually, I was also a lecturer in engineering college for about 7 years and into IT from 17 years. I worked with various companies like Cisco, CSC and all. So from the last 3 years, I am into technical training and consultancy. As part of it, I provide training to the corporates like Philips, L&T, NextGen, Incarnus, and many companies in Bangalore and outside of Bangalore. on the niche IT skills as well as various colleges, universities. We conduct workshops as well as faculty development program, so in and outside of Bangalore as well. And coming to today's session, I would be first introduce you to what is AI, ML, deep learning, what is the difference between them, because many a times they are used in tandem or like as an alternative. And then what are the general applications of artificial intelligence, with history of AI, and just we will go deep dive into machine learning and then domain specific applications of ML. So Manjuna sir has asked me specific to the electrical engineering, what kind of applications are being built or what are the areas in which the research is happening and in which the potential prospects. So brief demo about this. So this is what I have planned. So if at all you have any questions, you can put it in the chat window. So we can take around 10 minutes time at the end to address those questions. So with that, let us understand what is artificial intelligence. So we know like human intelligence. As a human being, so we are ahead of other animals in this kingdom because of our cognitive functions. That means our ability to think, our ability to predict, our ability to learn. So we are superior to any other animals in this animal kingdom because of our intelligence. We call that as the natural intelligence. So we have been using machine every day for our day-to-day activities, right? So when we get up, so we want the water, so that we are using electrical pump, and which gets us the water, which pumps the water, right? And then we use coffee maker, we use any machines, we use fan, AC, and we use machines to travel, commute, right? So those are all the machines we use. But they're programmed to do some kind of a work, right? They're programmed to do some kind of a work. So it has been actually idealist human being wanted to create a machine which can have some kind of intelligence. We call it as machine intelligence, which is in contrast to the natural intelligence. It has the ability to do some of the tasks without being programmed to do so or without being explicitly programmed to do so. That means if a machine can get this natural ability or the cognitive functions, that it has the ability to think, act, and then learn. So that is what we call it as artificial intelligence. So it is basically the intelligence which is possessed by the machine, so which can mimic our cognitive function. That is what we call it as artificial intelligence. And when we say cognitive function, as a human being, we have great sensory organs. With that, we do a lot of things, right? We see, we identify the object, we differentiate the object, we hear the sound, we speak, right? We have the sensory organs. So the great ability of the human being because of these sensory organs. And can we do something related to this for a machine, which can do at least not all, at least few of them, so that it possesses some kind of intelligence. So that is what is machine learn. That is what is artificial intelligence all about. So then comes sometimes we hear people talking about AI, ML, DL, and all those things. What exactly are they? How they are different from each other? Overall, any activity which we make, which we want machine to mimic the human intelligence, we call it as artificial intelligence. That is the overall brand. This is the artificial intelligence. So rather than using like if then rules or decision trees, it can do with the help of the data. It can analyze the data and it can predict some kind of a future and things like that. That is what we call overall as the artificial intelligence. Machine learning is the subset of the artificial intelligence. It uses some kind of statistical techniques, mathematics, and to improve at the task with the experience. So with a lot of data, it learns and with the experience, it improves at the task which it does. The same way, like as a human being, the same task we are going to do many a times repetitively, definitely we will be doing good work of the assigned task, right? So that is what we call it as a machine learning. And in that, there is deep learning. So deep learning is like, again, it is trying to solve some kind of a problem. And like, for example, like image recognition or speech recognition or some kind of analysis using what is called as multi-layered neural network. So it actually simulates the way our human brain works. So you know, like human brain is a complex machine itself. So there are cores of neurons. We call it as a biological neurons. Suppose when we are walking on the road, suddenly some vehicle comes in another direction and it tries to hit us. Then suddenly, so our sensory organs first try to look at this. A vehicle is coming at a speed which is more than the expected speed. And then this information is sent through the crores of what you can call it as the biological neurons, which are well-established connectivity. So it tries to understand the scenario. Okay, so there is a possibility that vehicle may hit us. Then it instructs our bodily part maybe to go back or to move away or to take some kind of a decision, right? So this is not happening in just one go. It happens in one go even, but there are so many neurons, which we call it as biological neurons, which are part of taking the decision. Okay. So here in deep learning, so what we are trying to do is the same thing can be applied as part of the artificial intelligence. Can we try to simulate this neural network which we as a human being possess to process the information, to get the output, and to work at great speed. Okay, so that is what is the branch of the artificial intelligence or a subset of a machine learning, which we call it as deep learning. Okay, so these are the three things. One is the artificial intelligence, which is the overall anything you do, like usually we call it as artificial intelligence. Machine learning is a subset of AI which basically tries to improve the task with the experience using some kind of a statistical method, and deep learning which uses multi-layered neural network with huge vast amount of data to come to some kind of a solution for the problem. So these are the broad categories. So what is that we can do with AI, or what are the further classifications of AI? One of the thing is we call it as machine learning, and here we have something called supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, and deep learning. And another branch is the natural language processing. Like the way we speak, we talk, we chat, we in the same way can a machine can talk to us or can chat with us. So that kind of a thing, we call it as the natural language processing, where it may be like a chatbot which answers your question. Suppose your laptop is having a problem, or your network, the internet is having a problem. You try to contact the service center. So before you contact, there is a small window pops up where it will ask you some question. You try to answer them, right? Or you start the dialogue. So this is, we call it as a natural language processing. That too during Corona, where a lot of what you can call it as service center representatives were not there, still this chatbots took over, and it tries to answer your question as much as possible. So the text generation, machine translation, content extraction, so extracting some information from the net. So that is also part of the natural language processing. Another important area is the vision. Like as a human being, our eye is very important part, right? Similarly, can we make any machine like see see the way we look at the things. So with using some kind of a cameras and then analyzing those images, that part of the artificial intelligence we call it as vision. That is, we call it as a machine vision. So like the way we have human vision, similarly machine vision, recognizing the images, processing the images, trying to identify any kind of abnormalities. That is part of the artificial intelligence. We call it as the vision. Another important aspect is like text to speech, speech to text. Nowadays, we have a lot of digital assistants, like you have Amazon Alexa, you have Google Assist, where you Siri, where you can start a conversation with them and try to get some kind of information or use them for some purpose, or even to track what you can call it as, even you want to track the order which you have placed through Amazon, you can use Amazon Alexa to do that. So that part is like speech to text and text to speech. Even in Google also, so you start talking, then it will start typing, or vice versa. So that is another area. Another important thing is like robotics. Robotics is another important where there is a convergence of like Internet of Things and machine learning. And then comes the expert system, which are specific to a particular kind of an industry, maybe expert system related to the grid, the power grid in the electronic industry, or any specific system which is developed to help to solve those kind of issues or make the business better. That is what we call it as a expert system. So this is what is broadly the artificial intelligence all about. So these are the general applications like virtual personal assistant, natural language, and then simulating some kind of a model experiment in the experimental setup, machine translation, even identifying the image. Suppose if you look at a plant or a tree, I want to know what kind of plant it is. So for that also there is an app called Google Glass, which we can use it. So there are image analysis, image processing, security, right? So the people who are at the border, or like some person, intruder comes into a house. I want to know like who is that person who is coming in. Can we analyze the image and things like that? Similarly, analysis of the audio, video. There are a lot of possible applications, general applications of artificial intelligence. And a few of the common things which people are talking about, just I will give you a brief introduction about us, about this. So when we say like machine learning, again, we have three things. One is called as the unsupervised machine learning, supervised machine learning, and deep learning. So knowingly or unknowingly, we have gone through this. So the one of the simple example of a machine learning is like when you open up your Google email, some of the mails are classified as spam, some of them are not, right? So what it takes for the Google mail to identify some of them are spam or not spam. So basically, like suppose if you do not open a mail for long, or if you get a mail something like advertisement or something like, hey, you got a lottery, some mail comes, those things like these are all the spam mail, right? So classifying that, going through each and every word is a different thing. That is where the machine learning comes into picture, and it tries to apply so many kind of analysis of the data and try to classify into spam and not spam. Another the simple example which of the machine learning is like how we learned the alphabets, maybe Kannada alphabets, English alphabets, or any other language alphabets as a kid. So just go back and just rewind yourself. So when you are a kid, like 3 years, 4 years old, how you learned all the images. Maybe your parents would have shown you the picture of an image, A, and then they said A for apple, B for ball, like C for cat, right? So we call it as a supervised machine learning. What is a supervised machine learning here? There is a supervisor, in this case your parent, is showing the image. We call it as a label data. By looking at data, so as a young kid or young mind, so this impression goes, okay, so this is the shape of an apple. So anything with this app, this shape and this size and this color, this is called as apple. So this is what is called as a supervised machine learning. Supervised machine learning, where there is a label data. So another example could be like supervised machine learning. Suppose I want to predict the price of a stock. I want to predict the price of a stock. So, you know, stock and trades. So I want to know like what would be the price of increased data, increased stock in the next week. So then what we can do is you can check up, the machine can take the historical data and it tries to get some kind of a model out of the data, and then it is able to predict what would be the price. Any kind of a predictions is possible using supervised machine learning, or like weather prediction or predicting the demand of the power. Because how much power is required. So that is also one of the example of a supervised machine learning. By looking at the historical data, by looking at the data, it is going to predict something. So this is one of the areas of the machine learning, or one of the type of the machine learning. We call it as a supervised machine learning. There is something called unsupervised machine learning. In this case, we don't have a labeled data. So it is like, for example, for a kid, when we are teaching, suppose if a teacher teaches like some concept, and then if tomorrow is the test, then the teacher will say, no, read all these concepts, I will give you some question you have to answer. We call it as unsupervised machine learning, because you never know what kind of question they are going to give. It is like an open book exam. You have a closed book exam, you have open book exam, right? So in the open book exam, you have to learn all the concepts, and then they will ask you to do. So here we do not know exactly what kind of questions you're going to get, and then you have to you have to use your mind to basically answer those questions. This we call it as unsupervised machine learning, where there is no labeled data. We call it as data is not labeled. So, for example, I wanted to, I want a company wants to launch a new product, and it wants to know like who can be the potential customer. So they cannot say exactly this is the customer who is going to buy, but they can say, okay, so maybe the customer with this much salary, or this particular geographical area, or this part of the world, they can buy this. Okay, that is what we call it as basically unsupervised machine learning. Deep learning, as already I told you, like where we are going to use the biological neurons, simulate the way the biological neuron works to come up with some kind of a solution. That's what we call it as this thing. So another one is like this is supervised machine learning, and then the unsupervised. There is something called reinforcement machine learning. Whenever I say reinforcement machine learning, so here we will be learning on the go. The best example is the way you ride a bicycle, right? Whatever else, it is very difficult for anyone to teach a bicycle. Even if you teach them the bicycle, it is you who has to act when you are on the move. On the go, you do not know how it is going to work, right? Somebody may come from right, somebody may come left, or somebody may come from somewhere else. But as per that situation, you have to act. That is called as the reinforcement machine learning. So these are the broad classifications of the machine learning. Based on that, so many products are being developed. Okay, there are so many products are being developed based on this thing. So here we have what is called as the, there are a lot of companies investing a lot of money into it. Like be Tesla is coming up with all these electrical car, self-driven car, and any other thing, right? So here, let me take one of the just the general, what you can call it as the AI product suite, to understand what kind of products they are coming up with. So one of these things is self-driven car, like that is what people are talking about. Again, it is part of the mobility. So this is where, you know, like driving a vehicle, driving a car is really difficult, right? It is really difficult. And that too, without having a driver, or without you operating, you want the machine to do for you. Again, this is a really Hercules task, right? So with the help of the sensors, with the help of the camera, so with the help of something called radar systems, with the help of 360-degree camera visions, we they are building a solution wherein which without a driver, this car can move and it can identify the objects and it can apply the brake, and then it can simulate the way, and also sense the objects even in rain, even in during fog, and even during snow. So this is where a lot of R&D is happening. Every company, most of the technology company are into it, and they try to get some kind of a solution out of it. This is one of the top most area where a lot of R&D is happening. This is in terms of the mobility. This is one of the example, and then Google, they call it as Waymo. And other than this, now each and every product of the Google, they are actually want to make it as a AI product. So the example is like, for example, the Google search, even the Google advertisements. There is something called AdWords. Suppose if I want to say, Sai, Vidya Institute of Technology should come number one when you search institute in Bangalore. Okay, so there is a lot of things goes behind this. And we have to bid for a particular keyword and all those things. They are using these concepts. Also the Google Map, Google Calendar, and also offensive content identification to the YouTube. They are using it. Another very important aspect is like home automation. Nowadays, like people want to do the home automation where with the help of your mobile, you want to switch on the light, switch off the light, increase the volume of your audio, decrease the volume of your audio. All these example again with convergence of the technology where you have Internet of Things, where you have the sensors plus the ability to take the decision, right? So a lot of things are happening in this particular area where you have Google Home Assistant. Assistant again, it can be you already have it on your mobile phone. With that, you can actually interface with other electrical devices, electronic devices, and you can control them. So this is what is the home automation, one of the area, and they are using some Nest thermostats and all, which using that you can control the temperature and all. So this is one of the area where Google is working into this, and also Google has some product called Google Glass. You take that particular mobile app is there, you take your camera in front of any plant or anything, it will tell you what kind of plant it is. So these are the few of the generic applications which Google is working on. Other than this, nowadays you have all these personal assistants like the Amazon Alexa, Google Assist, and all those things where a lot of conversation is happening. So the way we talk, natural language processing, right? Because the way I talk, way you talk, the way you frame sentence, way I frame sentence is different. Still, the machine has to understand the context in which you are talking and it has to answer, right? So maybe future days, like you can book whatever you wanted to order, even you can book a haircut through these devices, or fix appointment with a doctor, or anything you can do with this personal assistant. Other common applications you are all aware of is the recommender system. These are the common applications I'm talking. Suppose you buy something from say Amazon or any Flipkart or anything. At that time they will say the person who has bought also bought this good. Again, that is example of a machine learning, which is a recommender system. It is going to recommend you like, okay, this is the product is bought based on the way based on the product what you buy and what other people are buying. It is going to give you a recommender system. Other examples could be the way you are watching the movie using a Netflix. It is also going to like predict or recommend based on the genre of the movie what you watch. Then it is going to do the prediction. These are the common examples I am talking. Another important thing is the image identifying, facial, recognizing a face, recognizing all the objects, right? Whether it's a car, whether it's a vehicle, and all. This is very much important in the mobility. Because like mobility, this is very example important is like you have warehouses. There are a lot of items are lying there, and to organize all those items and then picking the items and loading it to a delivery van and vehicle. all those things again, it is an example of AI, ML along with the Internet of Things. So convergence of lot of technologies here. And the chatbots like healthcare chatbots are nowadays like a lot of chatbots are coming up. So any kind of a for example, health related issues we can chat with the chatbots, which actually like it tends to stimulate the way the doctor works. Because of how when you go to a doctor, what he will ask or he or she is going to ask is they are going to ask you the symptoms, right? Based on the symptoms, they are going to tell you, oh, this is what could be the problem. Similarly, here a lot of data is there in the into this healthcare system, and it tries to read out those kind of data and try to understand the situation, and then try to give you a kind of a solution and act like an assistant to a doctor. Okay, so these are the common things which I'm talking about. And when it comes to the AI, it is not very new. It is very old only. It all started somewhere in 1956, where this in the Dartmouth conference they have come up coined this particular thing like artificial intelligence and all. Okay, so from there onwards, it has moved all the way. But why now? The question is why now? Why is this happening now? Because of the three things. One is when you want to do this, basically what we try to do, we try to understand the data. So here data is the gold. We call data is the gold, right? So we need to understand the data. Now there is a huge explosion of data. Most of the things are computerized, and a lot of information people are sharing in the social media. People are sharing, and also the machine is also generating a lot of information. In the sensor is generating huge information. So nowadays, what you have huge data. Second one is to process the data to predict something or to classify something. So you need to have great amount of computing power. So nowadays you have computing power. You have three things. One is you have huge data. Second one is the computing power. Third one is the algorithms to process those things. So people are coming out with a lot of algorithms and all those things. So with the great computing power, with availability of data, with those algorithms, so it is becoming reality. So it was not so when it started earlier. And nowadays you have better hardwares, right? You have a better computer, better system, and you have cloud. So because of this, this is coming up. The major thing happened in 1997 where the IBM computer beat the world test champion. That is where it all started, and also like Apple Siri, Google driverless car, AlphaGo. There is one more similar to this. And then IBM came up with something called Watson, which is analytical engine. And a lot of things are happening in the machine learning, artificial intelligence. That is not like a fiction or anything. So you can see even day-to-day things it is being implemented. For example, KSRTC, long drive vehicles, I mean the vehicles which are running on the long route, or some of the pilot vehicles which are traveling in Pune, Hyderabad road, they have they are having a sensor-based anti-crash devices, which they have put it on the pilot basis on the cabin of driver. What it does is like there is a camera is installed, which is pointing to the driver, and basically it detects the face and the eye movement. It is going to detect the face and the eye movement, and then it is going to analyze the based on the facial expression. It is going to analyze whether he is taking a small nap or something like that, or whether he is yawning, or whether his attention is somewhere else. So then it is going to alert. Okay, it is a combination of like sensors and then the ML. And also it is going to raise the alert, as well as if there is any object it detects with some particular radius, and then it tries to adjust the speed and things like that. It is going to highlight and reduce the speed. So there are a lot of things happening, and it actually wakes up or it alerts the driver, and then suddenly he comes to normal if he's going for some kind of a nap or anything. So it detects the obstacle and also it got an award for this. So it is not that just it is like a fiction or anything, things are happening. And other than that, you might have read in the newspaper, like how this security system can help us to detect the theft. So sometime back near Manyata Tech Park, there was a house where an engineer lived, and he went to US. No one was there in the house, but he has installed this camera which identify any intruder who is coming into the house. Even it has a night vision, and then if it happens, it alerts the owner who is installed a mobile app. So when this guy was not there at about 3:25 early morning, some people try to enter their house, and with this camera has identified the intruders. It has alerted, and the person who is in the US, he got the alert on his mobile, and he called his neighbor in India, and they alerted the police. Police came. See, it happened 3:33. Police came by 3:40, and they are able to caught the thief. So this is what is the power of the technology. This is what is the power of the technology. We can use this technology to solve many kind of problems. Right? So this is a brief introduction about what is called as AI, ML, and other general applications, generic applications, and what the people are working about. And there are a lot of possibilities, possible areas in which every branch of engineering, it is not like, oh, AI is only for computer science students. AI is only for information science students. It is not like that. So it is for each and every branch of engineering, because there are two aspects. One is the domain knowledge. One is the knowledge of the domain. See, computer science students may not understand how a motor works, right? Electrical engineer or maybe mechanical engineer knows how a motor works. If you want to put some sensors, you want to read some information from that, and if you want to analyze, it's you who can analyze better than a computer science student. That's why this artificial intelligence machine learning is not specific to a branch, it is across various branches, be it medical field, be it industry, we call it as now, what is that, industry 4, or any new thing, any new automation which is happening, people are talking about. It uses all these technologies, robotics, Internet of Things, and then data analytics using the AI. So it's all convergence of technology. It needs domain expertise in the technology and also usage of the technology. That is where this can be used in different areas of engineering. Okay, so this is a first um, part of the thing where I want to talk about generic what is AI and all. Let me pause for a moment. Let me see. Hope you are able to follow this and hope this is useful for you people. Just to start with what is AI ML and to give you a broader perspective of AI and ML. So now let me just go deep into bit of ML and what is the meaning of an algorithm and what are the things we are going to use. And later on, next after that, around 15 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 minutes time, I will specifically spend time on what kind of applications or what kind of future from the perspective of the energy management, which I want to talk about later. So let me go to the next part where I am going to move bit deep dive into the machine learning. And when we say what kind of projects we can take up. So nowadays also you are hearing about something called as data science. This is another area which the people are talking about. So again, machine learning is one of the part of the data science project. What is data science is nothing but applying scientific methods, scientific processes, algorithms to extract the knowledge and the insight from the data. Now, as I told you, we have a lot of data. So I said also data is gold. But unless I know the hidden pattern, I cannot do anything. For example, if you take up the example of the electric grid or that understand the demand for the power, right? So first we should know like from where I can extract that information. Maybe putting smart meters, maybe putting and reading the information of a particular houses in an apartment structure or things like that. Basically, what we want to do is we wanted to understand, we wanted to get the information and then try to build a relationship between various things. Like, so what is the peak load, what is the peak demand, and at that time, what are all the devices which are all on? Can I make some devices off at that time so that load can be balanced? So this kind of information you can extract and then you can analyze and you can build a model which would help to solve many kind of a problem. So that area of this we call it as the data science, where multiple disciplinary of applying the scientific methods to understanding data, hidden pattern in the data, and then use the proper hardware, use the proper programming so to and use the efficient algorithms to solve any kind of a problem. This is what we call it as data science. So that is very important now because nowadays the data what we have is something called unstructured data. There is something called structured data, unstructured data. What is the structured data? The data which we store usually in a database, right? Suppose you want to travel in a train, so you book a ticket. That ticket information is saved in the database, right? There are a lot of other data which is unstructured data. What is unstructured data? The data which is not either stored in a database, like the blogs, the articles you write, or the social media interaction, the images you upload, videos you watch, they're all unstructured data. You cannot put a proper structure to it to store this information. Now there is a lot of growth in the unstructured data. So that is where we have to understand that data, analyze, hidden, and then so that it will be beneficial for a company. Very important, right? Suppose if a customer is moving from one company to another company, we wanted to understand why he is moving. For that, we need to gather the data, analyze this data. That is what we call it as data science. So you use data science to solve all these regular kind of a problems like selling or like cross-selling, upselling, and all those things, sentimental analysis, healthcare, and fraud detection, and all those things. Even you can use it to detect the fraud or detect the loss of what you can call it as power distribution. So there is a loss or a theft. So that also we should be able to detect that. That's one of the area which we can work on. And so suppose that there is a problem saying that there is a power theft. So the electrical company wants to know why the power theft is happening. Okay, and where is it happening and where is the problem. So this is a business problem. The business problem is to identify the power theft because one is it is unnecessary loss to the company. Second thing is you never know like you expect like some load and suddenly the power theft is happening. So they want to kind of look for a project to understand this. So they hired a data scientist or someone who wants to know what exactly the power theft is happening. Then what they do is then they call this data scientist who will call some kind of a domain experts in the electrical engineering. They sit with them. They will understand how these people will do power theft. How can I know this power theft is happening? What kind of sensors you have put up? From where I can get the data? So all these discussions happen, and then they try to solve this problem. So they see, okay, so what is the loss? power loss, or something is it lost because of the transmission, or it's because of the theft, and all the things they wanted to extract and they wanted to analyze this kind of information. So once they understand, once they extract this kind of information, so then what they will do is they will go for this kind of projects where they will say they want to understand, they want to build the data, they want to model the data. So the first thing is they start with a business problem. Once they start with a business problem, then they will say, okay, so this is the problem, how to go about solving this. They consult all the domain experts, try to identify the various data points, and after that, that is where they use these machine learning algorithms or deep learning algorithms to build a model which will simulate the way all these things are happening. And then it is going to predict something, saying that, okay, this is the place where this is happening, so we have to tap all these things. And then once it is done, they go for the product engineering. So this is one of the areas, any problem or any business areas where because technology is there, it is not the reason why we have to take up a project, because there is a serious business problem. We have to solve that problem. That is where we are going to use the technology. So once we extract the data, then we are going to do the exploratory data analysis. What is the meaning of exploratory data analysis? So there are so many information, so much information is there. Once I have so much information, so then what information is affecting this? Is this information is right? Is this information is correctly gathered? Is there is any duplicate data? And how can I pictorially represent something? Suppose if demand increases, or like how is the consumption at various localities? What is the locality at the industrial or at the residential? All those things we can represent pictorially. So that is what we call it as the exploratory data analysis. Once it is done, then the machine learning or any other learning, what you can call algorithms are applied, and with that we try to predict, or we try to detect the detect the anomaly, and then try to come up with some kind of a solution. This is what typically happens in any machine learning project or any data science project. So these are the various phases. First, we call it as a discovery phase, where you start with a business problem, then try to get the data, analyze the data, understand the data, build the model, plan the model, build the model, and then try to operationalize, and then look back the result, convey it to the business stakeholder, and then they will say, oh, this is not correct, this may not be correct. Again, you have to fine tune and things like that. So this is what is a typical project life cycle of any data science project, which cut across various industries, not necessarily any specific industry, any different industries. This kind of thing. Okay. So now, if that is the case, then what is that? How to get started with this kind of a project? Where to start? What are the things required to learn? Okay, it is not necessary that you have to know each and everything in the computer science. As an electrical engineer, as an electronic engineer, what is that? There are a lot of tools available. There are a lot of techniques available which you can learn easily and you can adopt. One of the things in this area is Python. Python is effectively used. So I think now, this course is introduced for electrical engineers also maybe. So Python is one of the language which is required for you to learn. After that, there are many. It is an open source language and it's freely available. It is easy to program, easy to read, understand. It has a lot of libraries to do all these things: data analysis, data manipulation, data visualization. All these things are there. So that is where we can go with this particular programming language. There are other programming languages also, like you have something called R, something called SAS, but they are very generic, and this is, I mean, they're very specific. Python is a generic programming language. With that, if you learn that you can move into any particular area or particular direction. And from the programming perspective, you need to learn something more other than Python. There are some libraries which are specifically trying to solve some kind of a address some of the areas. See, finally, or when it is data, finally it's all numbers, right? So there is a library called NumPy, which basically looks at converting the data in the form of a the n-dimensional array. And again, when it comes to machine learning, you should be bit good at mathematics, statistics. Okay, so differentiation and all whatever you have studied, and linear algebra, those are all bit required to here. And again, not necessarily you have to know everything, but at least the basics you have to brush up and then do it. Then there are some libraries like Pandas, which is used this data analysis, data manipulation, and all those things. And you have libraries like Matplotlib, which is used for the visualization. It's pictorially representing something. So, and then you have another set of libraries called scikit-learn, which has a lot of algorithms built into it. When you want to start this project, you need not to start from the scratch. You have so you can already, these libraries are there. You should know like how to use these libraries. So these are the bit of tool sets which are required for you to get started with doing these kind of projects. So first is you have to learn Python, then some of the libraries which are there on top of Python. That is what you have to do. Okay. So when it comes to like machine learning, what we are going to do is, as I told you, you have to gather all the data. So if you take the example of like power theft, so you have to gather all the information. And once you gather all the information, what we are going to do is we are going to take those information and then we are going to feed that to a model. So when we feed that to a model, then with the help of the data, model is going to learn like what kind of relationship of the various elements of the data, and then it is going to do the prediction. So when a new data set is given, with its ability of the understanding the new data set, again it is going to predict. If the prediction is proper, then we are going to accept that. If the prediction is not proper, we have to fine tune something. So any kind of this problem is used for some kind of a classification or prediction or on the go what to do. So to solve these three kinds of problem, we are going to use this machine learning. So this is how it is going to do. It does not mean that you are not programming. There is a program is there, but it is going to learn few of the relationship with the various data elements. So that is what is the learning activity it is going to use, and with help of the more computing power, so the learning could be faster with the help of a machine. So broadly, these are the classifications we made already. I told you about. One is the supervised machine learning, unsupervised reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning, again, self-driving vehicle is like, driverless vehicle is like the reinforcement learning. On the go or playing a chess game is a reinforcement learning. On the go, you want to learn something. Supervised learning is where you have a data, you have a labeled data, and then with the label data, the machine is going to learn. And when you give a new data set, it's going to predict. So there are two ways. One is called as the classification. Another is called as the regression. There are two kind of problem it is going to solve. Classification is to classify. For example, if there is a image of a particular motor, and when suppose I wanted to identify some of the part which is working fine or which is not working fine, by comparing the images, those things can be done using the classification. So other is the unsupervised machine learning, where there is no label data. We have to group them. We call it as clustering. Another is the reinforcement. When you look at the machine learning, broadly, these are the three things: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement machine learning. Associated with, there are so many algorithms are there. So many algorithms are there associated with this, which is there in the scikit-learn. It has a lot of algorithms. You may come across with these terminologies like linear regression. Again, it is a regression, linear algebra, logistic regression, and then decision tree. There are so many algorithms which would help us to solve different kinds of problems. Okay, so this is about the few of the machine learning algorithms which we have to get started once you start working on this. And various libraries like Pandas and then Matplotlib and NumPy. So these are the few things. Pandas like Matplotlib will help us to visually help us to. It's like a matplot which is used in the scientific community, by the kind of community, but this is a library which is built on top of Python, which is helping us to draw some kind of a graph and do analysis. Okay, so this is another this thing which I just draw, just introduce you to various kind of what you can call it as the classification of the machine learning and various terminologies associated with machine learning. So now the last part, I will just talk about the generic usage in terms of electrical engineering, that is specifically with power sector. So a lot of things are happening in that, even though I'm not expert in it, the electrical engineering or anything. So the generic things which I come across when I interact with many other people who are having their own startup or they are working on these areas. So I thought let me talk about that. That is the next part of my session. Okay. So the next part, let me take, is the domain specific applications. I think as far as the area is concerned, you are the better people, you know more about this, but I will tell you in generic what are the things can be done in case of the power sector, which is very important, right? So power sector is a very important thing. So whenever I say energy data analytics, basically you need all these things. One is the domain expertise. So you become electrical engineers, and once you start working in the area, you become an expert, or at least you try to be expert. Like once you start working on that. So any project of this we have to take up. You should know a bit of the domain, the knowledge. Is where no one can replace. Suppose if you're working on electrical field, no one can replace you. Computer science students cannot come and replace you. And then the software part, the data science part, again data analysis and all, the machine learning part, the computer science part. This is where you can also learn. You can also work on this along with your domain knowledge and bit of probability, statistics, and maths. You can revise and you can work in this particular area. So data science, as I told you, is fusion of the many disciplines. So when we want to energy, I think there's a very much. As I told you, like when we wanted to understand something, particularly from to automate few of the things, then we have to get the data from various sources, right? So be it smart meters, be it the grid sensors, or smart appliances, as I told you, like nowadays, lot of. So then I wanted to analyze the power usage, right? I wanted to understand like the demand and the supply, and also the power market. Okay. So then, first of all, I had to go from the source from where I had to get this data, right? So the data could be like nowadays you have only 1 meter per house or 2 meters per house, but it may not convey you what is the power of each and every appliance, right? So that is where you can use these smart meters or anything. So where you can check basically the usage of the power and the power markets to understand the dynamics of the power market. And nowadays we are talking about going for all these electrical vehicles, very important aspect, renewable energy, right? And then management of the power plants using the satellites, using the drones, like nowadays people are talking about managing the entire like solar, energy plants, solar plants using the satellite. So these are all the various sources of energy or various sources for the data which we have to start collecting when we want to start working on these areas. Then What are the roadmaps? One is the data analytics is very important. Once you do the analytics, then you can come up with any particular kind of a solution. These are all the areas where this machine learning and data science could be applied. So from the resources to end users, be it renewable generation, energy market, transmission and distribution. This is one of the key areas where a lot of research is happening and a lot of automation is trying to happen, trying to identify this thing. This is one of the area. Another one is the oil and gas. Again, it is a resource like we keep on using it, it is going to exhaust, right? So in these areas, a lot of work is happening. And again, the transport is one of the area. And when it comes to renewable generation, so predicting the generation, predicting the how much power can be generated from this renewable energy sources, the forecasting. So in these areas, a lot of work is happening. Very important to predict what you can call it as the generation of these renewable energy sources, and then optimal sizing, and also a lot of research is happening in terms of using better materials to store this power which is generated, right? So this in these areas a lot of research is happening by applying the AI to get a better what you can call it as build a predictable model in this area. This is one of the area where a lot of research is happening. Second thing is same thing in the oil and gas, like oil and gas exploration, identifying where is this particular things. Now they are applying so many techniques like tapping and all those things, and also like maintaining the pressure of the oil and the gas which flows by putting a lot of sensor, monitoring the pressure, very important. So flow rates, identifying the flow rates. Again, you have to apply like because your all these what you can call it as plants could be at different places, but still you have to identify all these key parameter, right? That is what is very important. One is from the generation to the transmission of all these things, maintaining the proper flow. This is where you can put a sensor, and then sensor can be many of the sensors can be connected together, and then it is going to send the data to the cloud. In the cloud, we want to analyze this kind of data, and then to track where is the problem. Okay, specifically to okay, this is the problem at this location. This sensor is there. There is some problem. The pressure is not maintained, or things like that. Okay, so this is where again lot of research is happening in terms of analyzing the seismic data. This is one of the area. Another one is the electricity market, like demand and forecast demand, supply and demand. So still in India, the power sector is still with the government organization, whereas other countries like where it is with the private sector, and they can know really like what is the peak load and where is a lot of demand is there, and they can basically they can ask their customers to manage all these demands, switch on those devices which are really required at that time or to off. So this kind of predictions you can make, this kind of analytics you can make once you get all this data. So this is where you can use what you can call it as the and more like this sector is getting privatized. A lot of such things are happening. So this is where the pricing, going forward, the pricing could be like the way petroleum, right? See, every day the petrol prices changes, right? Similarly, there is a possibility that charges of the electricity can be managed in that way. It is a dynamic thing, not like static nowadays. So that is where electricity markets, dynamic pricing can happen if you know, if you manage all these things very well. Another one is the distribution, transmission and the distribution. This is where detecting and predicting the line faults. So even though a lot of automation is happening in this area, but still this is very, because most of the energy, many of the things are lost in the transmission and the distribution. Right? how to build a reliable model, and also non-technical losses like theft detection, all putting the sensors at various points, various locations, measuring the values, dynamically comparing, and then trying to find the fault detection using the data, whatever is coming in. So this is the area where, again, a lot of research, a lot of improvisation happening in this area, transmission and distribution. And overall, like uh, all these technologies are converging. One is the Internet of Things, from which like we can know like the demands and all those things, and energy auditing. So energy auditing and dynamic auditing of the energy, where we can know this is what is happening in this particular area, particular locality, particular industry. And these are all very important from the perspective of effective energy management, because energy is very key for the development of any country, right? Any country, any location. So this is very important. Mixing all this renewable energy, non-renewable energy, and coming up with a proper model is very important to maintain the sustainability. And that again, the electrical vehicles like are coming up. So slowly the transport is going to change. One of the area is autonomous vehicle, and also like most of the automation in the industry, where we call it as industry 4.0, where the movement of goods from one place to another place, how effective routing of all those things. That is again, you can apply machine learning, artificial intelligence technique within the industry area or outside of the industry. Again, using Internet of Things and then data analytics. So these are the areas where a lot of research is happening. And finally, with all these things, we can make effective proper planning, and for the proper distribution of the generation, distribution, and effective management. And this is the area where a lot of process, what you can call it as the analysis you can do. So just overall, we want to improve the forecasting, optimize the operation, enhance the planning. So this is where the increase in the efficiency. With that, we can do with a lot of decrease the environmental effect with using the renewable, and then the decrease in the energy consumption with the proper manage, and decrease the cost. That is what as any person is looking for. So these are the areas where typically anybody can be working on. This is the one of the area. And second thing is, just let me take 5 more minutes here. Where you can get this data? So what is happening in this area? Where do you find? There is a site called Kaggle. There is something called Kaggle. Sure, I will share all the presentation, don't worry. There is a site called Kaggle.com. So this is the site where many companies are, what they are doing is they are coming up with their problem, they are putting the problem, and they're asking the people to solve their problem. Suppose this is the data of a solar power plant. Okay. So you can nowadays you can work on this, you can download the data, you can see what is that data. They're having some two data of the solar power plant, and these are the various information. So data analysis is basically to start. Just a minute, I will show you the data. Yeah, see, this is the data. So one is the plant one power generation data, and then the weather sensor data. So this data is available. With that, they wanted us to understand, analyze. So this is that at that particular date and time, and then the power plant ID, and then the source key from which, and then the total yield, daily yield, and then the cumulative yield. Okay, so these are the information which we are getting from a which is available publicly, and they are asking us to solve some to understand and then analyze this data, DC data. Okay, this is another plant, date and time, the weather data, ambient temperature, module temperature, and all those things. So these data are available now related to various engineering. So you can choose the one which you are going to, we are going to basically study. And there are some programs also. They're trying to like see how this data can be analyzed, how you can visually represent this data, and how do you make analysis of this data. So how do you feel like which power plant is better, which power plant is having a problem, and things like that. So these are all the few of the code programming which you have to write in order to start reading the data, analyzing the data, and there are libraries, as I told you, to basically read this data. So this is a CSV comma separated value. We are going to read the data. So once we read the data, we are going to start exploring the data. To look at the data and then see what is that we make out of this data. So that is what we call it as the data exploration. And so these are all various what you can call it as functionalities, libraries available. With that, we can start understanding the data, analyze the and then doing feature engineering means like converting date format into a particular format so that we can compare the data of the two plants. And then clean up the data. Some data may be null or empty like this. And then once we start analyzing further, we wanted to understand the daily yield and the best performing inverter of for each plant. Like this, it goes. And then you can go through the sensors, read that data, and then visualize. See, this is where the visualization, you can see. Let me zoom it. Okay, versus time. Okay, I think I zoomed too much. Yeah. So this kind of analysis you can make. So you can see like in a day like how the variation in the power production and all those things. Then you can try to analyze all this information, put various plots. Then later on you can like depending on what you want to solve, you can come up with. See, the plant 2 looks far too good in yielding power considering its DC and AC power. So why it is happening, what is the reason, and things like that. So you can go and start analyzing all those things. Okay, so this is just to give a very top level view of what are the things can be done. Okay, so just to conclude today, and from the perspective of learning, what are the things you need to learn? As I told you, learn Python and then machine learning, deep learning. If you know like Internet of Things, it's really good so that you can do the end to end and then the bit of cloud computing. And there are like you have to participate in some kind of hackathon and all, like which is organized by various colleges, companies. Even though you don't know much, you can just go see what is happening, what they are doing. So So programming does not mean that it's only for a one particular branch of engineering. It's for everyone with your domain knowledge, with your understanding of the domain. You can definitely and better participate in all these things. So Catalyst, as I told you, is a website where a lot of such problems, a lot of data is also being uploaded. So they had a lot of solutions is also available. You can go through and try to understand, because from the perspective of the domain, you know better than any other people with reference to your area of interest. Okay. So with that, let me just thank again Dr. G.T. Manjunath and also the principal Ramesh Babu sir and giving me an opportunity to present my views on the artificial intelligence and machine learning. So it's a 1 hour 20 minutes duration. Hope this will start igniting your the way you want to take it forward and the way you want to look at the various prospects in the area of electrical engineering. Okay, and again, I thank all the students who have participated in today's session and for your cooperation. So, and again, most of the I keep on creating various YouTube videos, so you can look at the YouTube videos on these. It is all totally free YouTube videos as well as programs in this area of what you can call it as machine learning and all. It is available in my website. I just shared just now. And if you go to the Git is a repository where we have all the programs. So I have a lot of programs related to Python, related to machine learning and all. So you can have a look at this. As well as I create various videos, YouTube videos, so where and all I participate in all these webinars and all. I create so many videos, so you can subscribe to my channel so that you can get all the free videos. Again, just I will share this my YouTube link here. Okay, so YouTube link here, and then you can. Okay, so thanks very much. And let me see if at all any other questions are there. So Meena is asking, sir, could you please tell us about jobs related details related to machine? See, there are two things. One is any machine learning or anything. Finally, it is applied to some area, right? So finally, it cannot do its own. It is either applied to some area. Maybe it is applied to electrical engineering, maybe related to transportation, maybe related to healthcare. So there are a lot of opportunities are there in most of the areas, and now it is becoming a reality, not like a fiction. So the areas like once you go out of the college or when you get into the campus and all. So the one is from the perspective of programming, at least you should know one programming in a detailed way. Second one is you can like get into any energy company where they are implementing all these data science, analytics, and all those things. That is where you can become like a data analyst or data engineer with the domain knowledge. So as I told you, like electrical field domain will be with you people. Okay, so with that you can mix up the things. So then there are quite a lot of opportunities again in the field of energy. A lot of opportunities there. That is what I can see. And many companies are started implementing or at least doing certain kind of a R&D in each of the area, be it industrial engineering or any kind of a data. Quite opportunities. Hope Meena, I addressed your question. Anyone else wants to ask anything, please?
Sir, I have a question, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Sir, the question is with respect to the machine learning. What is the role of machine learning in renewable energy source, energy field?
See, machine learning is basically it is from the perspective of predicting. Okay, suppose you have a lot of power plants, right? So then finally at the end of the day, with the lot of weather data, okay, you have the weather data, you have a lot of data which you can collect, and from that it can predict like how much power can be generated from each of these plants or whatever it is. So basically, it is helping us to predict the energy generation. And also at the other end, if the energy demand is there, then how that can be met. Basically, it is used for the prediction.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Any questions from the participants? Kindly please ask.
Sir, I am Dr. T.G. Manjunath, sir.
Yes, sir.
Related to the artificial intelligence and machine learning, see how our students, those who are in pre-final year and final year, can take up the course, and what is the first step they have to do, and how they have to move forward to find applications in the electrical field, sir.
Yeah. The first thing is like they should learn a programming language. Here, in this case, they have to learn Python. Python is the one of the programming language which they have to get started. The second thing is they have to learn some of the libraries associated with machine learning. On top of learning Python, there are few libraries, as I told you, like Matplotlib, Matplotlib, Pandas, NumPy, and the scikit-learn. So these are the various libraries. So once they learn this, they come to some kind of a what a beginner to intermediate level. Then they look for the kind of the project, whatever they can take. As I told you, there are so many papers being published. I think you people will look at IE papers and all, where anything related to your electrical engineering field with the data analytics or data science they can look for. Another is the area is the Kaggle, as I told you, like there where a lot of people are real companies are coming up and they are saying that this is the problem. I want your help to solve this kind of problem. So that is where they can start looking at it. And the main like energy transmission, energy distribution, main thing is to gather the data. That is what is very challenge. So the challenge is to gather the data. So if the data is proper, then they can apply all these algorithms or to see like what kind of problem they can solve. If they want to go to the next level, that is where they have to go with neural network. That is the next level. I think at this point in time, at least even with the basics of machine learning, they should be able to get into solving some kind of a problem. So finally they have to get into, if they are very serious and get into that, they have to go for the deep learning. So this is the learning things what they have to do. They can start with solving some, I mean, take up some small project, try to see how this can be implemented in your areas.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the participants? Kindly discuss. ಯಾವುದು questions ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತಲ್ಲ?
Ha, sir, no questions.
Okay. Somebody is asking some question. Meena, DS.
Yeah, you can do that. Okay, Shamina is asking a question. So after learning Python language, can we learn the machine language? Yes. Yeah. You can do immediately after learning Python. You can do. So I myself from my own company also we conduct workshops with if with your department helps, we can also conduct workshop at your company, at your college, if all agree to do so. So you can start with learning Python and then you can get into machine learning. Yeah, we have to know about NumPy. NumPy is one of the library of the machine learning which you have to do. Yes. Thanks.
I hope there were no questions further. Thank you very much, sir. for giving some insight about the machine learning and also the artificial intelligence. Also, especially the applications of these two in the electrical domain. We are really happy that you have explained in a very nice way, and everybody, I think, have understood at least what is the artificial intelligence and what is the machine learning. How these applications are useful in our daily life. Also, especially the specific domain, how it can be applied. So really, I'm thankful to you, sir. And we are planning to have the workshops, as you said, our students. As you said, I think first they have to learn the Python. So we are already planned, and since it is the first session, just to have one session about to give an idea about this, you have conducted this session. So in the future, definitely all our students will register, and also will make sure that workshops will be conducted Python one step by step as per your suggestion. Whatever you suggest, accordingly we will move further and take it forward, and make sure that our students will learn at least and get some idea, and also to take up the mini projects related to this artificial intelligence and also the machine learning in electrical domains. Thank you very much, sir. If anything is there, kindly discuss, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for providing me an opportunity. Definitely, we would love to conduct a workshop with the help of department and the students. So our aim is like, as you know, like I worked both in the industry as well as a lecturer. So my aim is to like there is a bridge the gap as much as possible, because when I was at the other end, I was having a team of more than 100 people. So they're like when we take the people, they are very good theoretically, but when it comes to practically, be it programming, be it any part of engineering, not so good. That is where there was a gap. My aim is to bridge that much gap as much as possible. We would like to work with you, sir. Thanks for providing me an opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and presenting this webinar. And our students gets benefited. Definitely, still we want support from you, and we shall discuss. And I'll also discuss with our principal, Dr. Ramesh Babu, sir, and I'll schedule the workshops in the coming days, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Praveen sir, please share this recording once.
To all the participants, all the students, faculty members for joining this webinar and making this event a grand success. Thank you, one and all.
Sure, sir. I'll share the recording with you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks. Okay. Bye.